And now it's time for the most entertaining, unpredictable prediction show on the face of the earth. It's NFL Weekly Predictions, starring Jason Powers, Jay Sizzle, and Steve Champagne. And now to your predictions. Jason, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to NFL Weekly Predictions. What's up? My buddy Steve Champagne's with me.
Well, I'm here, and I'm ready to have a great show today. But I think you got some breaking news. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I just heard this morning on my way in. This just broke this morning. A reporter from Fox Sports, Jason McIntyre, actually, is reporting that there was a fist fight in the Giants locker room between the coaching staff. Didn't even involve players. So apparently this was the offensive line coach, Joe Colombo. I believe I got that name. Mark Colombo, who was the Giants offensive line coach, and head coach Joe Judge. And apparently they got into an argument. Judge wanted to bring in a consultant to work with the special teams, and Colombo kind of bristled at that. They ended up in exchanging blows. Apparently it got quite heated. And from the report that McIntyre writes, Colombo pretty much kicked his ass. And immediately after the fight, after Joe Judge had scraped himself up off of the ground, he let Colombo know that he was terminated immediately. And now they are scrambling. The Giants are scrambling to find a special teams coach.
Okay. Anything else on this?
Now, I will say that immediately reports started coming in from other people that cover the Giants beat writers and such, that said that this is, quote, pure fiction, unquote, one of them referred to it as. And they're saying there was no actual fight in the locker room. But either way, we do know that Colombo is fired. He has cleared his stuff out. He is no longer associated with the New York Football Giants. And they are indeed scrambling to find a special teams coach. But what's interesting to me is if there was there a fight or wasn't there? Because if there was one, they might be trying to cover it up.
Well, that's why there's going to be an investigation, and I think Colombo's going to call his uncle in Los Angeles to investigate it.
Yeah. One more thing.
I think the whole argument started because he wanted to know where he got his shoes. I'm not sure, but nevertheless.
Maybe he was over cameras in the locker room.
Yeah, hidden cameras in the locker room. I don't know, but there's all kinds of news going on in the NFL every week. There's always some kind of drama going on. Quietly, so the Cowboys, who usually have something to say, but I guess when you're not winning, there's not much you can say. You know what I'm trying to say? But will the Cowboys win this week? Right. That's for sure. But, the season's half over. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. We got, how many more weeks? 6 weeks, right?
We have
6 weeks.
7 weeks. 7 weeks.
This is 11.
Right.
11 and
17,
6.
There's 17 weeks.
Yeah, but I guess we're
So we have 7 weeks and then the playoffs.
The playoffs. All right. Well, who you got for your top 5 teams to win the Super Bowl?
Most likely top 5 teams. Yeah, we decided a couple of weeks ago we were going to do this. We're finally fitting it in. Because, we always have so much to talk about. But we've been talking about this for a while, so it's time to work that in. Do you want to go 1-5 or 5-1? I'm good either way.
I don't know. Do it any way you want to do
it.
I'm
gonna go 1-5 because I think the top ones are pretty obvious. So my number 1 team to win the Super Bowl right now is the Kansas City Chiefs. They've got a good defense. They've got Patrick Mahomes. When you got Mahomes, you've always got a shot. He's just that good. He's a transcendent quarterback. And strong running game. There's nothing not to like about this team. I mean, yeah, they had a win. I mean, they had a loss early in the season. It wouldn't surprise me if they ran the table from this point forward and ended up as 15-1. They should at least be 14-2. They almost certainly will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I like the Chiefs as my number 1. My number 2, I've got another AFC team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And yes, I realize they're undefeated. A lot of people will say, well, why didn't you have them number 1? Well, this is a subjective kind of thing. You put the Chiefs and Steelers, to me, in the playoffs, the Chiefs are going to end up on top. That's just my opinion. The Steelers are strong and all that, and they are undefeated, but they're not going to finish undefeated. And a lot of it is about who's got momentum. We could be looking at the kind of situation where the Steelers drop 2 of their last 4 games, especially considering in the last couple of weeks they're not going to really have much to fight for. And so I have them as number 2. My number 3 team, I've got the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is aging really gracefully. And that's I mean that as a compliment. I do. This team is really going places. They have. I wish they had more to throw to. I would feel a lot better about their chances if they had another wide receiver that was, really a stud like Devontae Adams. I get that MVS looked good last week, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And he's going to get some more targets going forward, and that's all good and fine. And they've got Alan Lazard coming back, he's also a quality receiver. But I'd feel a lot better if they had signed somebody in the offseason, say, I don't know, like a Stephon Diggs type, or if they had traded for somebody at the deadline. It kind of surprised me that they didn't. There's a lot of teams out there that have a wide receiver to spare. And it kind of surprised me the Packers weren't able to swing a deal. But I've got them at number 3. Number 4, I've got the New Orleans Saints. And I've had questions about the Saints most of the season, but the last couple of weeks has pretty much shut my mouth. They looked great 2 weeks ago. And then last week, of course, they lost Drew Brees, and that's going to be pretty big. But I don't expect him to be out more than 3. I don't think he'll miss more than 3 games. The problem with the Saints is, and we're going to talk about this later in the pick segment, Steve, what's going to happen when Jameis Winston is under center, which he is going to be for probably the next 3 games. That could be a real concern, because are we going to see a guy that has learned and studied and soaked in knowledge from Gary Payton and from Drew Brees, and who's not going to throw the ball away recklessly like he has been known to do? Or are we going to see the same famous Jameis as before? The guy who puts up 50 passes every game, gets 440 yards passing, and throws the ball away 4 times. Because that is not a recipe for success. It wasn't last year. It wouldn't be this year. And that if they end up dropping 2 of these 3 games that they're facing with Winston, that's really going to affect their seed. On the other hand, is that really a bad thing? Because they'll have Breeze back for the playoffs, certainly. And, if they were a lower seed, that might actually, theoretically, that could actually be a good thing for them. They'd be a bit of a sleeper. The number 5 pick for my team to win the Super Bowl, I've got the Buffalo Bills. I mean, let's be honest. The Bills, they did get beat last week, but they should have had it. They should have had it. I know you saw that game, Steve. I know you know what I'm talking about. I think it was Diggs. They came up with that great catch in the end zone, surrounded by multiple guys, and he managed to bring it down. It looked like the Bills were going to pull that game out. They did end up losing, but the Bills can stand toe-to-toe in the ring with anybody in the league, and that includes the Chiefs. That includes the Steelers. That includes the Packers. The Bills are for real. They could still end up really shocking some people and going all the way. Who are your top 5?
Well,
let's start at the top. Who's most likely?
I can't put them in order. I'm going to stick with my Super Bowl pick to win it all, the Seattle Seahawks. They're on a downward slide. They have not played well. They've not looked good. They have a suspect defense.
Yeah, they just missed my top.
But I got to stick with them. I rode with them at the beginning of the season to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to stick with them. I don't know why. I mean, they're looking bad, but, hey, it is what it is. So I got to stick with the team I actually picked to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year. Number 2, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh Steelers. The reason I go with the Steelers is because they have a team. They don't have really – they have a few stars. I get it. But they have a team. Everybody seems to be working as one. Mm-hmm. So I got to go with the Steelers, number 2. Number 3, I got to go with – believe it or not, this is, this is totally insane. Absolutely ridiculously insane. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the reason I got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is experience with Tom Brady, Gronkowski. I think if Mike Evans smells it, he will be 10 times better than he ever was, which is really scary to me. I just got a feeling these Bucs have never smelled it. If they get in and they win their first playoff game, and now it's, and they start smelling it, because with Drew Brees out, like you mentioned, maybe they can catch up, win the division, maybe. I know they have no tiebreaker, so you forget about that. But maybe they can smell it. So that's my number 3 team. My number 4 team, believe it or not, is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. I think their defense can carry them. I can't believe that Lamar. Somebody's got to say, well, what did we do last year? No one's doing that. No one's going, well, where are the plays we ran last year? They're not running the same plays.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me see. I tell you what. Let's look at AC/DC, and I'm going to use this. Have they changed? No. Are they still good? Yes. Do people still love them? Yes. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Okay. And of course I got to go with the Chiefs at the end, and because of what you said with Patrick Mahomes, the guy can score. He is a great. Don't get me wrong, but I do think it's hard to repeat as Super Bowl champions. It hasn't been done. Well, how many Super Bowls we had? What is this, 55?
I think it's 50. I think this will be 54 or 55.
55. Yeah. Okay, so I think in 55 tries, there's only been like 10 repeats. 10, that's not a lot. So I got to go against the Chiefs because of that. It's kind of like I do want to, and I want to say this. I know we're talking about Super Bowl teams, but I do want to say this because I feel I have to. And we should both actually give a and you picked this, so we should both give a round of applause to Kirk Cousins for winning his very first primetime game.
I told you that was going to stop.
This happens. This happens. Sometimes you go against the grain, which you did. I didn't. So maybe my repeat theory is not going to work.
I've got to say, I'm really surprised by one of your picks. I'm surprised you didn't have the Packers in there instead of the Buccaneers. I can understand every reason that you had as a positive to have the Bucs in your top 5. I get it. But you've been kind of critical of them this year, and it surprises me you didn't have the Pack in there. You've been extolling Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and praising them all year. The only reason that I didn't have the Bucs in my top 5, I have all the respect in the world for them, and I had them probably number 6, really. The only reason I couldn't take them in the top 5 is, A, they scored 3 points a couple of weeks ago. 3 points, and their defense got torn to shreds. And I did tell you, I did confirm, I assured you, I said it was a 1-week aberration. You really don't need to think too much into this. And I was right. They turned around the very next week, and they were world beaters, and they could have scored 60 points in that game.
That's true.
So, yes, but the fact that they just looked that crappy that recently scared me off a little. And B, the other reason is, all right, there were several passes, especially further down the field last week, where Brady just wasn't close. He didn't just miss the receiver, wasn't close.
He missed this past week.
Yeah, that's what I mean, this last game.
Yeah.
That, especially in the first half. There was one play in particular where Antonio Brown burst down the seam and cut toward toward the middle of the field, and Brady, for whatever reason, threw to his other shoulder, to his other side, as if he was going to break toward the sideline, and overthrew the ball by 5 yards. And
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I'm a little concerned about his deep accuracy.
Well, before we wrap this segment up, I want to give you one more pick, and we're going to call it the sleeper pick.
Okay.
Who is your sleeper pick? The craziest, wildest, who can win the Super Bowl that you just not even shouldn't even be in
Right,
the
somebody
list.
that's going to make the playoffs, but you don't expect them to.
And
do
then
much.
all of a sudden, something's going to get crazy. Who is your sleeper?
I got one for you. I got a crazy one for
Okay,
you.
I bet you it's the same as mine. Go ahead.
The Cleveland Browns.
What?
The Cleveland Browns.
The
Dude, they're 6-3. They're 6-3. They're probably going to be in the playoffs.
Okay.
So when you're asking me as far as a sleeper pick, well, you're talking about the teams that barely make it into the playoffs and nobody expects for them to do much. It could be the Browns. It's not going to be. This is why it's a dark horse sleeper pick.
No, this is a crazy pick.
But
and that's what we're supposed to
you
do in
never
this
know.
segment.
That was what you asked me, though.
That's I
And
did.
That's my
I
answer.
asked that. Okay,
The Cleveland Browns, because it looks like they're going to be.
Let me give you my sleeper pick. The pick that I think is, if I wanted to bet on a long shot, I'm going to bet on this team, the Miami Dolphins, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because I believe in defense. I believe in a running game. I believe people overlook what special teams, and I bet you that's why the Colombo punched the guy from the Giants.
Supposedly, yeah.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Let's not get a lawsuit here. Anyways, what I'm saying is that the Miami Dolphins, and they have the defense. They have Tua, and if he gets hurt, they got Ryan Fitzpatrick. Okay, and they got a running game. Okay, and they have no stars, and no one expects the Dolphins to do anything.
It's really hard to win the Super Bowl with a rookie quarterback. The
I'm
best thing that could happen for the Dolphins, the best thing, and I don't wish any ill will personally toward Tua. The best thing that could happen to them is if they make the playoffs and he gets hurt in Week 17.
Well, let me throw this out about the Dolphins. Okay. If memory serves me correct, and I could be wrong. I just think I'm right. I don't know. He's the only left-handed guy in the league, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he is.
Because he's left-handed.
Quarterback.
Because he's left-handed, that changes that passing thing. Because people are going, oh, well, we're so used to going this way. He goes the other way. Mm-hmm. So it's a little goofy.
And what's weird about that is that he does everything else right-handed.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I was listening to him in an interview. For some reason, when he started throwing a football, it felt more natural to him to throw it left-handed, and he's always done it that way. Everything else he does righty. I don't get it.
I'm more worried about next year for the Dolphins than I am this year. Next year is a big year for the Miami Dolphins, but we'll talk about that another time. All I can tell you is if you want to know what I'm thinking that we're done with this segment. I'm ready to get some picks.
I want to find out who won this week. I want to spread my.
That's easy.
I want to widen the spread.
That's easy. We'll find out in just a little bit there with the. Our show continues. NFL Weekly Predictions. We'll be right back after these messages from those sponsors.